Oh, I saw something that I was interested in. Did you guys see who Rakhmonov called out? Now, I don't know that Rakhmonov has ever called for a fight. I don't know that he's done that. I feel like he's come out of his shell just a little bit here. But he called out Kelvin Gastelum. And it was nice. It was friendly, right? I mean, it was about as wimpy as you could do a call out with still qualifying as a call out. It was more like a suggestion or an idea that came from him than it was a call out. In fact, it was even a question. Should I be the one to welcome Kelvin Gastelum back to 170 at Dana White, at Sean Shelby? All right. I think I just quoted for you right there, but I still appreciated it. Right? I mean, if there's any botch, if there's a botch of 2023 to this point, it's him. The last time Rakhmonov fights, it's on a main card in a featured bout. He does an interview with a guy named Joe Rogan, who you've possibly heard of. Now, Joe Rogan goes off script and suggests that Rakhmonov's next fight is going to be for the world championship. He didn't say it, he suggested. So that means he said something like should, or he said perhaps, or he said maybe, and then said your next fight will be for the world championship. It's a very powerful thing. And when I say that he went off script, every time Joe speaks, right, he's got that earpiece in, he's got people talking to him. So we at home have to wonder what's being said. And we have to wonder, was he told? Did Zach tell him because Zach was told by Craig, who was told by Dana? Just by example, you would wonder that. To tease this and float this out to the world. It looks like no, he was not told that. He went off script. Okay, good enough, but we don't know that at the time. Speculation is incredibly helpful. Speculation is the gas. It's the fuel that drives promotion. So this was a really great thing. It was never spoke of again. It should have been spoke of. It should have been spoke on the next day. He should have come out and thanked Joe Rogan for confirming that. Oh my God, my dreams have come true. Did you hear what Joe said to me? Joe Rogan just said, I'm going to be fighting for the world championship. And then somebody comes in and goes, no, he said, hey, you might be fighting for a world championship. Oh my God, he said, I'm going to fight for a world championship. This is from Joe Rogan. Oh my God, I called my mother. She's so upset. He could have played the language barrier. He could have played as though he didn't understand. These things work all the time. All the time. I just did this. Matter of fact, I got to give the credit to my buddy Rick Bell, but we just did this. Dave Shalofsky calls me up. He wants to take me to a Blazer game. I accept the Blazer game. The problem was I had dinner plans with Rick Bell that night. I had to cancel on Rick Bell. So I called him up. I canceled. Man, I got invited to the Blazer game. I never get invited. I'm going to run down there with Dave. Rick says okay to me. Then he hangs up, doesn't even tell me this, calls Dave and says, oh my God, I'm so excited. Chael just called and told me you're taking us to the Blazer game. So now Dave is in a terribly uncomfortable situation because that is not what happened. He said, yes, I'll see you tonight. He scrambled whatever he had to do, and we got in the truck to drive to the Coliseum that night. Rick Bell was in it. So these things happen all the time, and Rakhmonov could have come right out and quoted Joe Rogan, who did say he'd be fighting for a world championship. Every law school in the country, on the first day, will tell the same story, which is about the guy that got pulled over by the cop. And the cop said, you've been drinking. And the guy says, I've been drinking? So the cop writes that down word for word. He said, I've been drinking. And he takes that to the judge with no effect on the question mark or the punctuation that was missed. Not really even remembered himself. It was 3 months ago since we got in here. It's one of those situations where words are a problem, right? An eyewitness is the worst thing you can have, but having a word in a transcript is right there with it. But it holds up all the time. People are sitting on death row for it. I'm only sharing for you. He very well could have done that, or many other things, or he could have taken the audio where Joe Rogan said, perhaps, leave the perhaps out, and now you got Joe Rogan saying, your next fight will be for the world championship. He could have played that. He could have clipped that. He could have played it all around the world. There was 20 different things that Rakhmonov could do. Instead, he did none. He hasn't spoken up once. The first time he spoke out, it was today, and it happens to be against Kelvin Gastelum. It was the right move. But it just makes you wonder, right? Like, if a guy never does anything, you'll start to wonder, well, does he even have social media? You know, I don't know a lot about Kakistan. I know what Borat says. I mean, maybe it's an internet issue. That's just not a thing over there. Maybe the people don't do it. They don't let you have it. Maybe the government has control and they're communists. I mean, you would come up with 100 different things to cover for the guy. when the guy comes out and calls out Gastelum, I guess it's a call. I didn't put a question mark on it. But when he does that, he's now educated you to the fact that he does know this is part of it. He does have the ability to do it. I mean, talk about a dollar short and a day late. Kelvin made this announcement 3 weeks ago, maybe even a month ago, that he was coming down. He finally got around to suggesting that they fight. And by the way, I'm on Rakhmonov's side here. I'm trying to build him up. But he needs to learn from his own lesson. He is the most famous person in the UFC. You guys think that the pay structure in MMA goes Dana White, Conor McGregor, don't you? Or maybe you think it goes Dana White, Scott Coker. A lot of people would believe that too. The pay structure goes Dana White, Joe Rogan. Then it goes Scott Coker. Then it goes Conor McGregor. If you really need to know how this goes, but I'm just sharing for you. You had a very powerful person say your next fight will be for the world championship. You sat on that for 3 months and decided to ask in question form about Kelvin Gastelum. Dude's good. Rakhmonov. Dude's good. Dude's powerful. Dude's crafty. Dude's well-conditioned. He's strategic. There's so many words I could use to describe Rakhmonov. Smart doesn't make the list.